Example 6, guys, says y equals -2 times the quantity of 1/3 to the power of x plus 1 and then minus 6. Now here is your base. Your base is 1/3. That identifying your base allow us to write the parent equation, okay? So that means our parent equation is y equals 1/3 students, close it, to the x power. It allows us to go in and pick some x values and some y values for the parent. Let's go -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So 1/3 to the -2 students is going to say the same thing as 3 to the +2, so it's going to be 9. 1/3 to the -1 is the same thing as 3 to the 1, which is 3. 1/3 to the 0 is going to be 1. And the parent function values, we should be able to plug it in and get an answer really fast, okay? So 1/3 to the second power, that's going to give us 1/9. Those are just going to be the parent values. We need to use it super quick to transform. Your a value is always in the front, so that's going to say -2. Your h value is going to be with the x, so that's going to be a -1. And your k value, let's use this one, that's going to be behind to shift, so that's going to be a -6, okay? So immediately we can write -1, -6. Oh, you know what I didn't do earlier? I never went and found the y-intercept for example 5. So let's go and find the y-intercept for example 5. All right, so y-intercept is when x equals to 0. So y equals 3, 0 minus 4 is -4 minus 1. 3 to the -4 students, that's the same thing as 1/3 to the +4 minus 1. And 3 to the 4th students, that's going to be 81, so 1/81 minus 1. So that's going to allow us to have a negative answer because look at the graph is below the x-axis. So -80/81 is our y-intercept. Whew, forgot that one. -80/81. Okay. Oh, you know what? I need to write as an order pair. So 0, comma, -80/81, just like that. My bad, guys. Okay, let's go up. Let's try not to forget that again. Okay, so let's fill some stuff out. We have an a value of -2, so that gets multiplied to the y, and h value -1, so x minus 1, and k value -6, so that also changes the outputs. So take all of these right here, y'all, and -1, okay? Then take all of this right here, students, on the parent, and then change that with this. Let's get this color. All right, -2 minus 1 is -3, -2, -1, 0, and 2. Ooh, that is nice because we can fill out the x-intercept. All right, 9 times -2 is -18 minus 6, so -24. So 3 times -2 is -6, minus 6, -12. The next is going to be -8. Now this part, hopefully you guys can do this in your head. 1/3 times -2 is -2/3. -2/3 minus 6 is a larger negative, -6 and 2/3. 1/9 times -2 is -2/9. Minus 6 is a larger negative, so -6 and 2/9. That allows us to lot. Let's see. -3, guys, it's down 24 somewhere down here. I don't have enough grids, but if I really wanted to, it's like down here. Here somewhere, okay? -2 and -12, okay, that's manageable. Here's -12. -1 and -8, definitely manageable. 0 and 6 and some change. 2, 4, 6. Okay, -6 and -6 and some change. And then -6 and 2/9, that's also pretty close to each other. So that's going to give us a 2 right here. Okay. You know what? 2 minus 1 is not 2. OMG, it's 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. See, guys? Hopefully you guys are telling me Oh my gosh, Mrs. Tran-Bloom, that is so not true right there. Okay, so remember we shifted 6 units down, so make sure 2, 4, 6. So make sure we have this horizontal asymptote. Okay, we can fill that in. Horizontal asymptote y equals -6. Okay, so let's plot the dots. Hug the asymptote, go all the way down. There you go. Okay. All right, look at that, guys. Now let's look at it. We do not have an x-intercept since it would never hit the x-axis. We have a y-intercept because x is 0, 0, comma, -6 2/3. Okay, from the table here. Your domain is always going to be R reals. Your range is from -infinity and stopping at -6, or you can write y is less than -6. It is an increasing interval. It's increasing over the entire domain, never decreasing. Your rate of change is going to be varies. It is a 1-to-1. We do not have a vertical asymptote, so we are going to say NA on that one. Now, is it a growth or decay? Okay, so this is the one I want you to pay attention. Since our base, guys, is 1/3, and that is a decaying graph, that will not change even if we have a reflection, okay? So we still have a decaying graph, even though, even though because of the reflection, it is an increasing interval, but it's still a decaying graph, okay? So let's write the transformations. We will have 4 transformations here. Your A being -2, that is going to have a reflection over the x-axis. So reflect over x-axis. Your absolute value of A, your A is -2, absolute value of -2 is +2, that's bigger than 1, so that is going to be a vertical stretch factor of 2. Then we have an H value, guys, of -1, so that's going to go left 1 unit. Then your K value of being -6, so that's moving down 6 units. Okay, let's do example 7. This one is really interesting, so make sure you guys pay attention, okay? Y equals 2 times e to the x plus 3 plus 5. So your base is e, okay? Your base is e. So that allows me to write y equals e to the x. Now, if you take out your calculator, your e value, it's about 2.7, okay? So e, it's about 2.7. Now, remember, we studied pi before, and pi is about 3.14. These both are irrational numbers, pi and e. So as long as you know e is about 2.7, we should be good. And x and y, and we are going to keep -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So e to the -2 equals 1 over e squared. Now e, guys, is about 2.7, so which is about 3-ish. So when you plot this, so right now leave it as 1 over e squared, but when you plot it, it's about 1 over 9-ish, okay? So a dot in between 0 and 1, closer to 0, it's perfectly okay. E to the -1 equals 1 over e. When you plot this, plot it around 1/3-ish, okay? E to the 0 is going to be 1. E to the 1 equals e, which is about 2.7. See, less than 3. E squared, e squared, remember, e is about 2.7. So if you plot this, so 2.7 times 2.7, it's about 7.29, 7.3. So plot a dot around there, okay? Transformations, and yes, you can use a calculator on this. We have a 2 being your A value. So A is 2, H is -3, so that's -3, and your K is going to be 5, okay? So 2 is your A times Y, and then we are going to plus 5. And your X is going to be X minus 3. So take all of these right here, and we are going to minus 3. So -5, -4, -3, -2, and -1. And now we take all of these right here. Yes, you're going to need to use a calculator and then crunch out the numbers. So I'm going to go with approximations here, guys, and that's okay. I just need an approximation to plot, okay? So 1 over e squared times 2, that's going to give me 2 over e squared plus 5. If you don't have a calculator, it is okay to leave it like this. I know 2 over e squared, guys, that's about 2/9-ish, okay? 2/9, 2/7-ish. Plus 5, so when I plot that dot, it's going to be slightly above 5, less than 6, okay? Similarly with 1 over e times 2, that's 2 over e plus 5. If you don't have a calculator, leave that in the simplest form. When I plot, I just know that's slightly more than 5. And then 1 times 2 is 2, plus 5 is 6, okay? E times 2 is 2e plus 5. Yes, you can leave it like that. E squared times 2 is 2e squared plus 5. So when we plot, we know that e squared is about 7-ish, times 2 is about 14-ish. So when we plot this, this is about 19-ish, and that's okay. We are just going to approximate these, okay? If you don't have a calculator. Now, if you have one, feel free to crunch out the numbers, and then that will give you a better approximation. All right, so -5, I'm going to go above 5 for the y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit above, okay? -4, similarly, we are going to go a little bit more, okay, but it's still not quite 6. Remember, e is 2.7, so unless we have e divided by e, that will give us 6, okay, plus 5 that is. -3, now up 6, so just like that. -2, remember 2 times 2.7, so it's going to be 2.7 is going to be like, let's just say even 2.5. So that's going to be 5. 5 plus 5 is going to be 10. So we know slightly more than 10, okay? So I'm going to go -2, a little bit more than 10, just like that. And I don't have 19 grids, so I'm going to stop right there. We know that things shifted up 5 units, so our horizontal asymptote here is good. Now up, okay? So now we have this little dot, okay? Since your base is e, guys, and that is definitely more than 1, it's going to be a growth curve. We do have an increasing interval there from -infinity to infinity. That means decreasing is NA. Your rate of change is going to say varies. It is definitely y a 1-to-1. Horizontal is y equals 5. Never a vertical asymptote in exponential. Your range is y is bigger than 0 or 0 to infinity. Your domain is all real. We do have a y-intercept, which we need to calculate. We will not have any x-intercept. And your h and k is going to be -3, 5. Let's do the transformations, okay? We have a 2. So a vertical stretch factor of 2. Then we have left 3 units. And we also have up 5 units. Okay, y-intercept, guys, is when x equals to 0, okay? So y equals 2 times e, 0 plus 3 is 3 plus 5. Now, I don't have a calculator, so I'm just going to leave it like that. If you do have a calculator, feel free to crunch out the numbers. 2 times e to the 3rd plus 5, and then you can write down the approximation number round to 2 decimal places.